Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Heather Bosenko, and I am the manager of the Digital Business Lending Center. For anybody who is new to this product, the DBLC, as we call it, is an online portal that allows your borrower to apply for a business loan 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Everything is customizable, all the way from your institution logo to your credit parameters. And so what we're going to kind of do today is just take a look around in the system. We'll start with the borrower experience so you can have an understanding of the process that your borrower is going to go through to complete an application. And then when we're done with that, we will take a look at the back office and see what availability you have as a lender and as a loan manager at the institution. So we'll begin by looking at what you see on your screen is the landing page that your borrower will see when they click your URL. So how you choose to implement this is completely up to you. We have some institutions who have branch employees who have the ability to help the borrowers through from inside the branch with this URL. We have some who have the URL on their business services page and direct their borrowers to that page to an apply now button. And we have others who are more conservative and they just have a few lenders who have access to the URL and they provide it to the borrowers that they are familiar with or that they choose to give it to. But regardless of how you implement it, this is going to be the page that your borrower is going to see when they get to your URL. And like I said, this can be individually branded. So right here we see South Carolina Federal, but you can put your logo there and that logo can be changed at any time. So if you happen to be going through a promotional period and you have maybe a specialized logo for a certain period of time, it can be updated to reflect that, but we'll just go ahead and move on to the application. And kind of for time's sake, I'll do a short application that is not going to ask me for financial information, but keep in mind that based on the parameters that you set up per product, your borrower is going to have the experience you choose for them. So if you decide that you want to collect financials for all loan amounts over $50,000 with time in business less than 5 years and the credit score, for example, under 700, then it would prompt me to upload my financial information during my application process. And it's really just a simple drag and drop over into the box during the application. But like I said, for time purposes, we're just going to go through with what would be a score only application. And we'll kind of breeze through pretty quick so that you can see the meat of what you want, which is your dashboard. We'll say that we've been in business 10 years. And what you see is the screening process. So the first few screens that your borrower is going to go through are going to be just basic questions that's going to determine whether or not you want to do business with them based on their location, or what types of products, if any, you want to provide to them based on how long they've been in business. If, for example, you put a zip code that was out of range for what your lending demographic is, then you might get a message that would say this, that we do not serve your area. There are a couple options here for your borrowers depending on what you decide. Like I said earlier, this is very customizable, and in the event that you have a borrower who's outside of where you lend, you can either have this screen just say, sorry, we do not serve your area, and that's it, or you have the ability to turn on a third-party referral, which is kind of what you see here. And we've partnered with a company located in Virginia. It's a veteran-owned organization called StreetShares, and they specialize in larger unsecured loans, but they do really all small business loans. I think unsecured is really their specialty. So it's kind of nice because you can toggle that specific feature off or on depending on whether or not that borrower is a member of the institution or not. And if that borrower does move forward to the StreetShares website, they would just click here, and it's a hyperlink that would take them there, complete the loan application process, and fund the loan. Then Lucro will give a referral fee to that institution. So it is nice because you would be getting some income from a loan that you wouldn't have been making otherwise. So it's a good feature. And if you decided that you didn't want to turn the third party on, but you still wanted your borrower to have a softer experience in that area, you can opt for communication to be turned on. And we'll take a look at that in just a second too, because that's going to pop up regardless whether or not you have products if you turn that on. And really all it's going to be doing is giving the borrower an option to reach out to the institution to see if there is another way that they can be helped. So in this case, because we've been in business for so long, we have 4 product options available. If there were no product options available at all, so that meaning they didn't meet any of the minimums that you have preset in the background for these products, meaning minimum time in business or possibly out of the lending demographic, they would see no product cards, and they would only see this, the man on the phone. They would just click that they are interested in other options, and it would give them a pop-up box to provide their name, their phone number, and some additional information about what they would like contact with. And I think this is a good feature because it allows you to keep business that you might have and without having to send them off to a third party or without giving them a poor borrower experience with just a hard decline. So maybe this is a borrower that you have a relationship with who has started a new company, and that new company has been in business for less time than what your minimum required is, but you do have a relationship and they might have equity in their home, or they might have strong deposits, and it might be something that you can help them with instead of sending them away just outside of the portal experience. And all of these cards you will choose. So all of the products are going to be customizable. You have a list of products, and you can decide for each product that you see what you want the credit criteria to be. So you can say any business credit card applicant, startup company, and we're okay with that. Or maybe for a line of credit, then we want them to be in business for 3 years. So everything product-wise is customizable based on what your credit culture is. For the sake of the application, we'll just go ahead and pick business credit card because I know that these are parameters that I've set in the background that should help us move through pretty quickly. We'll do 5,000, and we'll just say demo purposes. Okay, continue through. Okay, so I've passed the initial screening of this, and now I have some options. If I am an existing borrower, I can log on using my known credentials, or if I'm new, I can create everything for my profile right here. If I see this card and it's not what I wanted, I misclicked, then I can just click that I need to change some things, and it will take me back to the very beginning. All right, we will go ahead and use our test borrower. This is someone that we know is going to pass all the credit criteria and allow us to see the application. This is going to be the borrower dashboard. So at this time, I've logged in as Cha Cunningham. That's our test borrower. As you can see, she's pretty leveraged here and has been an applicant many times. But as a borrower, I can see that I've applied for 26 loan applications. The most recent will always be on the top left, and it will be highlighted. But I can go through historically and see all of my loans. I can see what stage they're in, submitted, draft, and this one has the green highlight, continue application. This is the $5,000 business credit card that I just started. All right, and I don't know if you noticed it, but as we were progressing, our tree has been growing. Started out as a little leaf, and now we're a tree. So we'll just use a few credentials to get us through. Cedar Bluff, Alabama. Okay, we can put anything here since we're in test. Again, industry doesn't really matter in this case because it's test. Tax status, depending on what you pick, the portal will understand if you picked an S Corp, then it's going to prompt the borrower if needed for business tax returns, where if you were to have picked a sole proprietorship, for example, it would understand that there are not going to be separate tax returns for that business in particular, and it will only ask them for personal information, or excuse me, personal tax returns. So we'll just say, and I think our average time for completing the loan application has been about 7 minutes. So it's a fairly quick process if your borrower moves through it like they should without any issues. We'll just say that we don't have any business debt, so we can move through. But obviously, if you were to click yes there, then it would prompt you for that information. This is a unique feature to the DBLC2 that we didn't have in version 1, and it's the ability for an applicant to create a loan for a business on behalf of the owners. So we created this option with anticipation of the near future having larger, more complex transactions come through this portal. And if you've got larger, more complex transactions, you probably have larger, more complex businesses. So this would give somebody like a bookkeeper or a CPA the ability to complete an application on behalf of the business. So that CPA could come in, complete all of the business information, submit. Once they submit, an email notification is automatically sent out to anybody that applicant listed as an owner. And at that time, the owner can log on and complete their personal information. So we'll just say that we're an owner so that we can move forward, and we'll say we're 100%. It's going to automatically make me a guarantor because I'm over 20%. Years in industry, we have added in DBLC V2. We think it's important because you might have somebody who, if you're just looking at actual dates of businesses, may look like they're an inexperienced business owner, but it really could be that, we'll give Cha 25 years in her industry, but maybe her business is only 2 years old. So if you don't collect the industry experience, then I think you might be missing some information that could be crucial in your decision-making process. So we have included that so that we can understand what type of experience the borrower has and not necessarily how old the business is only. So, all right, we're going to review the business information that we've input. Everything looks good, so let's keep going. Basic information, this is going to be me as an owner. So I'll go ahead and continue as Cha. And what is our zip code? 36561. Okay, great. Okay, so after we enter our personal information, we're going to go into real estate. So prior to now, what we've used for our traditional underwriting proxy is that if we don't have information about the primary residence and if the borrower owns or rents, then we make the assumption of $1,000 per month in rent. Now we have the ability, if I were to say no, then I can collect actual rent amounts for cash flows if needed. If I click yes, that I do own real estate, then I can complete this as a borrower with all of my real estate. So I can add individual pieces, and we've added an option in V2 of the DBLC that the borrower can select what type of property is, which is really helpful in underwriting because it makes it much easier for us to be able to reconcile back to the credit report. So we'll go ahead and say that we don't have real estate and our rent is $1,500 a month. Okay, authorize our credit pool to happen. Give it a minute to think here, and then we'll continue on. All right, this is a new integration that we are excited about in version 2, and it's an integration with Plaid. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Plaid, but Plaid is what Venmo uses to collect real-time banking information using that person's online banking credentials. So essentially what is going to happen is I'm going to say, yes, I authorize, and then I'm going to have the option to link to my account. All right, say okay. We'll go through Chase, say, and we'll just see if we can use this in the test environment and pull a report. So whatever their banking credentials are, wherever they bank, they would choose the location of their primary operating account, type in their credentials, and this is going to give us access to their transaction history, their average deposits, their average balances, really any information that's inside those accounts. And our thought process behind including this in the upgrade to our system is kind of as a layer of income verification, if you will. So if you have a borrower who's moving through the system and they have met all of your minimum qualifications for a score-only loan, so now you're going to be looking at this based on their personal credit score and their business credit score, maybe their stated income. So with the Plaid integration, now you have the ability to kind of reconcile a little bit with what they've put as their stated income versus what their actual cash flows are like. So if you've got a borrower who put that they're netting $500,000 a year, and then when you look at their checking account, they've got $50 in there, then that might be a reason to ask a few more questions. So we've completed our Plaid, and we will revisit Plaid in a little bit on the lender dashboard where that report will be available as part of due diligence. But as the borrower, I can see that I've completed all of my information and I'm ready to submit my loan. So I'll click submit, and if I go back to my dashboard as a borrower, then I will be able to see the loan in submitted status. But for now, we are done as the borrower. Before we move on to the lender dashboard, I do want to note that the borrower has a business channel available to them and a shortcut up here for that business channel, and it just gives the ability for Lucro as well as the lending institution and the borrower to have messaging abilities back and forth. If we need to request additional documents from them, if the borrower has something that they need to let us know regarding their loan, they can do it through the business channel. But we'll move on and we'll go in to see the lender's dashboard. And I'm going to go ahead. There are a few roles that you can choose in the institution. One of them is the lender, and the other is going to be the loan manager. So the lender role isn't necessarily a lender per se. It can be a branch employee. It can be whoever is really kind of the shepherd of the loan, who's had the conversation with the borrower, who has the relationship, is expecting the loan. That can be your lender role. Somebody who may not have loan authority, but does have interactions with the member for the loan. And your loan manager is going to be the role who would have loan authority and has the ability to make the final decision on the loan. So where the lender role is really making a recommendation, the loan manager role is the one that's going to be making the decision. And you can think of it really as kind of an internal checks and balances for it. So where the lender is going to be doing some due diligence, checking the member relationship in the background, and like I said, shepherding the application as needed. The loan manager is really going to be the role that comes in on the back end and decides whether or not the institution is going to approve or decline that loan. So right now I'm signed on as the loan manager, and this is going to be my dashboard. And just kind of note, the dashboard that you see as the loan manager is also going to be the same dashboard that you see as the lender. The only difference is going to be inside a loan record. The decision buttons are going to be a little different, but just keep in mind, no matter what the role, you still are going to have the same transparency with all of the stages and all the loan information, regardless of what your internal role is. Okay, so this is going to be the home dashboard. You can view all applications in all stages. This is something that we have taken from feedback over the last 2 years that you guys would like to see the loan in all of its stages where it is. And with DBLC V2, you have that ability. You can see any loan that the borrower has started that they haven't completed yet in the draft stage. Waiting on submission is going to be loans that have not yet been submitted, but might have multiple owners, and you're waiting on a secondary owner to complete their information and do a final submit on the application. organization stage is going to be Lucro. So after a loan has been submitted, it will be here. And then as you see, if you look down the cards, you'll be able to watch it go through the underwriting stages to find your loan. You can do searches through loan applications. And there's a couple of different filters that you can use for that. The cards that you need to be most familiar with are the institution stage cards. So these are going to be the cards that are going to require some type of institution action. So once a loan has been recommended approved by Lucro, it would come here. Recommended decline would come here. Quick report, this is a new feature. It's a feature that we are all very excited about. And basically what it is it gives the institution the ability to decide that you do not need Lucro underwriting. And you can think of it kind of as a stepping stone to an auto approval. So the loans that you would pick for quick report would be loans that have maybe lower dollar amounts, higher personal credit scores, longer time in business, and you feel pretty confident that this is a loan that you're going to make and you don't need any Lucro underwriting intervention. So once the borrower submits that loan, it's going to bypass all of the all of the service organization stages and come directly here. Once the loan gets to the quick report stage, the lender role is notified that there's a loan ready to be reviewed. So you've completely bypassed underwriting. What we'll do here is I'll just kind of show you what the process would be as a lender and as a loan manager. So we'll go ahead and go into the recommend approved. So these are loans that have been recommended approved by Lucro and are waiting for action on the institution. The loan that we just did, the $5,000 credit card, bypassed and went directly into the quick report. So we'll disregard that for the time being and we'll move into this. All right, so depending on how you implement it, you may have multiple branch employees who are constantly speaking with members, constantly have loans coming through, and this is a way for them to be able to take responsibility of that loan and really become the shepherd of that loan. So as a lender, I'm going to say that I know that Hardin Farms belongs to me, and I spoke to the borrower about a $75,000 loan. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to assign it to myself. Once I assign it to myself, it's going to move into the due diligence stage. And I don't know if you remember, but on the dashboard home screen, underneath the quick report was due diligence. All it is moving stages. So now as a lender in the due diligence role, I'm going to need to go through documents. I'm going to need to check the relationship with a member with my institution. I can find all of this information over here in the application review tab. It's going to give me a snapshot of what the borrower input during their application process, owner information, all of the documents that were uploaded, and this is the time when we're going to revisit that PLAD that I just talked about. Business tax returns, the CAM that was completed by Lucro is going to be here, credit reports are going to be here, Equifax, business is going to be here, interims, and here is our PLAD report. So let's check this PLAD report and just have a little look at what the product is itself. So it's going to, like I said, give you the snapshot of all of the accounts, all of the transactions, average balances, everything that you really could possibly want from these operating accounts to kind of give you an idea of what that borrower is like. So after I've reviewed that, all the documents, I've read the CAM that Lucro's uploaded, I can come to the owner's information. I can see a snapshot of those borrowers, additional information on them. I can view by clicking more info, and that's where I'm going to see the real estate information that we entered or the rent. Business financial, that's really just going to be the tax returns and view of the authorization that PLAD happened. Business channel, that was what I was talking about before, and that is the borrower and Lucro and or the borrower and the institution back and forth. Institution channel is something that's unique to Lucro and to the lending institution, and that's what gives the lending institution and Lucro the ability to talk back and forth. This is something that the borrower does not have the ability to view. So if you have information for us or we have something for you, it can be I can go back and forth there. All right, we'll go back to the overview page because as the lender, I've decided that I would like to recommend approve for this. So like I was saying, I signed in as the loan manager. So the buttons that I have right here are going to be to approve or decline a loan. But if I were a lender role, I would have the ability to decline or to recommend approve. So if I recommend approve as a lender, then my loan manager will be notified and has the ability to actually approve the loan. So there is a third option, which is send back to underwriting. And that's nice because you can do that with any loan that has been underwritten by Lucro, that you maybe got some additional information or you want some changes or something like that. You can click send back to underwriting and Lucro will be notified that there is a loan that needs to be, or I guess, have a second look taken. And also, just of note, the quick report, you are not married to that decision. So if you have a loan that has met all of your minimum criteria for a quick report to happen, but you've taken a look at it and, oh, you've decided, no, I'm familiar with this borrower, or there's something else that needs to be done here. This isn't what I imagined it to be for this particular borrower. You can always click send back to underwriting for a quick report as well and request a CAM. So you do have that option. But for this, and actually before we move on, let me just scroll down really quick and show you. CAMs are here, and you can see at any point in the life of this loan application on the timeline. So you can see all the way from where the borrower started the loan all the way through when the final decision was made. So it's kind of nice because if you're working on an SLA, an internal SLA, and you have a borrower calling, wondering where their application is, why haven't they heard anything from anybody, you can check the timeline and see how long that loan has spent in each one of the stages. So we'll go ahead and say that we want to approve this loan. Our loan was approved. And now if I go to the dashboard, the loan has moved over to the approved and completed tab. So once a loan has been decisioned, it's going to go over here. Any loan that has been auto declined immediately goes from the business stage all the way over to the auto decline stage. And something that is unique to DBLC2, which was based on a lot of feedback that we've gotten over the last 2 years, is that now any loan that's been auto declined, the institution will have the ability to view not only the credit score, but the credit report. So all of that information will still be available in the loan record, just like if you were looking at a regular loan that was recommended, you can view all of that in the Documents tab. All right, so in a nutshell, that is going to be the institution view. Any loan, lastly, I'll kind of touch on this, any loan that has been sitting in draft mode or waiting on submission for longer than 30 days will automatically move over to the abandoned stage. So, all right, well, this is just a look inside the new DBLC. If anybody has any questions, you can feel free to email me anytime. My email is heather@lucro.org, or feel free to call me. My number is 850-701-4073. And I really thank you all for your time, and I hope you have a great day.